Okay, hello everyone. My name is Han Sengnian. Today I will give a comprehensive comparison between Agile development framework and a waterfall model, especially in the requirements gathering this phase. So let's start. And so we can ask a question: what do we need to do in the requirement engineering phase when we use waterfall model? So I think there are 6 steps. The first is requirements gathering. For the requirements gathering, uh, we need to engage in all the clients and stakeholders to collect their expectations regarding the system functionals and performance. Utilize interviews, surveys, and workshops to gather comprehensive requirements. We can use, for example, like questionnaire to collect their requirements. The second one, requirements analysis. So we need to organize analysis and categorize the gathered requirements to ensure a clear understanding of what the clients need. Identify the feasible and prioritize the requirements. Distinguish between must-have and optional features. You know, some functional is very important. We must have it, and some functional is not important. Is not very important. We can put it later. We can put it later. The third one is requirements documentation. We need to create a detailed software requirements specification. The abbreviation is SRS. This document, that includes functional requirements, non-functional requirements, and any constraints. Why do we need to do that? Is to ensure that the documentation is clear, complete, and verifiable, verifiable, verifiable for subsequent development and testing phases. The fourth one is the requirement validation. Uh, we need to conduct requirements reviews to confirm that all the stakeholders agree on the content of the requirement document. Use models, prototypes, or demonstration to present the requirements and verify their correctness with the client. The fifth one is requirement management. I think we can establish a change management process to handle any potential requirements change that may arise in the later phase. If we use the waterfall model, it's hard for us to change the requirement if we have began uh, in the later phases to track the status and modifications of requirements, ensuring that documentation remains current. The last one is the risk identification. Identify risks associated with the requirements and analyze their potential impact on the project. Develop mitigation strategies to reduce the likelihood or impact of the identified risks. So the goal of requirements engineering phase in the waterfall model is to ensure a clear and accurate understanding of system requirements, providing a solid foundation of the subsequent design, development, and testing phases. Because when we use waterfall models, it's hard for us to change in the later phase, as I mentioned before. But what about the Agile development framework? Is also 6 phases, but it's different from the waterfall model. The first one is the requirements gathering. It's also collaborate with clients and stakeholders to collect requirements and convert them into user stories. What needs is who needs the feature and why they need and why and what they need and why, and hold the regular meetings and workshops to ensure ongoing communication and understanding of the requirements. The second one, prioritization requirement. Maintain a project backlog that lists all the user stories and the requirements. For example, the first line is I want to use this, I want to use that. Prioritize the user stories based on the business value and the stakeholder needs. What's more, I think continuously adjust the prioritize based on clients' feedback and the changing market conditions. The third one is iteration planning. At the beginning of each iteration, you can also say each sprint, conduct a planning meeting to select high priority items from the product backlog to work on during that iteration. We need to define clear iteration goals to ensure that the system has a shared understanding of what will be delivered. The fourth one is requirements, validation and feedback. I think when we conduct sprint reviews at the end of each iteration to showcase the completed features and gathered feedback from the clients, use the feedback to make necessary adjustments and to refine requirements for the future iterations. What in the past, for example, in the past few days, what we did is good, and what we did is need to adjust so we can receive the feedback from our clients, from our stakeholders, and make necessary adjustment. The fifth one is continuously requirements management. Acknowledge that requirements are dynamic. We need to acknowledge that requirements are dynamic. Continuously update and manage the project backlog throughout the development process. I think we need to embrace the change and new requirements as they arrive, rather than ignore them. Adapting to clients' needs and the market trends. The sixth one is collaboration and communication. This is also the last one. For close collaboration within teams and maintain open lines of communication with clients to ensure that everyone has a shared understanding of requirement. This is also a feature of Agile development framework. So overall, we can see that in Agile development framework, the requirements engineering process is iterative and integrated throughout the development life cycle, allowing teams to respond quickly to change and enhance customer satisfaction. And this is a brief introduction to waterfall model and agile development framework respectively. So we can use an example to demonstrate it clear. For example, if we want to make a banking application, if we use waterfall model, what do we need to do? I think the first one is conduct formal interviews with bank managers and end users to gather detailed requirements for features like account creation, transaction history, and fund transfers. What can we use? We can use questionnaires to handle them to our clients, to the bank managers and the end users, and collect their requirements. Then we need to create a comprehensive software requirements specifications, as also said SRS documents detailing each requirements, including use cases, user interface sketches, and the data following diagrams. The third one, we need to hold review meeting with stakeholders to walk through the SRS documents, ensuring everyone agrees on the specification. So apart from these three, I think we also need to establish a change control process for any requirements or modification, requiring a formal review before being integrated into the project plane. And the last, we also need to make a risk identification, identify the risk related to the regulatory compliance and system security during the requirements phase, and document mitigation strategies. But what do we need to do if we use Agile development framework? We need to conduct first, I think we need to conduct workshops with bank customers and staff to gather requirements. We need to tell user stories. I think, for instance, as a customer, I want to view my transaction history so that I can track my spending. This is a user story. Uh, we can maintain a product backlog that list all the user stories, prioritized based on the factors such as customer feedback and business value. High priority stories like enable fund transfer between people and people would be placed on the top. Will be placed on the top priority. I think a user story format is that as a user, I want to set up like automatic bill payments so that I never miss a payment, or like as a user, I want to receive notifications or for large transactions to enhance my account security. These are all the user stories we need to prioritize and list them. And the third one is at the start of each point, select user stories from the top of the backlog to implement. For instance, in a 2-week sprint, a team might focus on developing the transaction history and the fund transfer features. At the end of each sprint, conduct a sprint review to demonstrate the development features to the stakeholders, gathering feedback on the transaction history feature, addressing any concerns or suggestions for improvement. This is what we need to do if we want to develop a banking application. We use different methods. So we can from this instance we can see the difference between these two methods. I think the most different parts is the most different parts are in three perspectives. The first is approach to requirements gathering. As for the waterfall, requirements are gathered at the beginning of the project through formal methods such as interviews, surveys, documentations, questionnaires. This phase is typically exhaustive, aiming to define all requirements upfront. But in Agile, requirements are gathering continuously throughout the project. They are captured as user stories in collaboration with stakeholders and can evolve based on the feedback and the changing needs. I think the second difference is documentation and specification. The waterfall emphasizes comprehensive documentation in the form of a software requirement specification. This document serves as a formal agreement and a reference point throughout the whole development process. But in Agile, focus on the lightweight documentation, often relying on user stories and acceptance criteria. The documentation is less formal and more adaptive, emphasizing communication over exhaustive documentation. The third one, I think, is handling changes in requirements. We need to acknowledge that change is always exists. So, but waterfall changes to the requirements after the initial phase are often difficult and may require formal change control processes. The linear nature of the model can make it changing to accommodate new information or stakeholder feedback. But in Agile, embrace changes and encourages new requirements at any stage of the development, not only in the beginning phase, but also in the later phase. This iterative nature allows the team to adapt quickly based on stakeholders' feedback, market changes, and evolving user needs. So these three perspectives are my answer to the difference of the two models. But I think there's uh, I think overall, I think the agile development framework is much better than the waterfall model because, as I mentioned before, changes is always exist in our daily life. We can't know all the things at the beginning of software development. So this is my comparison between the two models. Thank you for listening.